Commander Veltar moved slowly through the narrow hallways of his ship. His 4 arms worked carefully with the mineral samples his team had collected from the asteroid belt. The Harmony's Edge was not a big ship, but it was home to 43 adult Zephyrians and 16 young ones. They had been studying rocks and ice in this quiet part of space for 3 months now. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin creatures with blue-green skin and large black eyes. They had no weapons on their ship because they never needed them. Their people had not fought wars for over 1,000 years. They explored space to learn, not to conquer. Veltar was looking at a strange crystal when the ship's alarm started making noise. He dropped the crystal and ran to the control room. His science officer, Kilenum, was staring at the main screen with fear in her large eyes. "Commander, we have 12 ships coming toward us," Kilenum said in a shaking voice. "They are big ships with weapons." Veltar looked at the screen. The ships were dark red and covered with spikes. He knew those ships. Everyone in the galaxy knew those ships. They belonged to the Kronok Empire. The Kronok were everything the Zephyrians were not. They were big, strong, and loved to fight. They traveled from world to world, taking people as slaves and stealing anything valuable. They had destroyed many peaceful civilizations. "Try to send a message to them," Veltar ordered. "Tell them we are just scientists. Tell them we have nothing." "They want." Kilenum worked at her controls. After a few minutes, she looked up with sadness. "They answered, Commander. They said all Zephyrians are worth money as slaves. They said we must surrender or they will blow up our ship." Veltar felt his heart's beating fast. Zephyrians had 2 hearts, and both of his were racing with fear. He thought about the young ones on his ship. The smallest was only 5 years old. Her name was Tilara, and she loved to draw pictures of the stars they visited. "How long before they reach us?" he asked. 20 minutes, Commander." Veltar knew his ship could not fight. They had no weapons and no shields strong enough to stop Kronok guns. Their ship was built for peace, not war. He walked to his chair and sat down, thinking hard. "Commander," said his engineer Dolvin from across the room, "what about the new transmitter? The one that can send messages very far?" Veltar looked up. They had installed the experimental quantum transmitter just before this trip. It could send messages across many star systems at once. The Zephyrian Council wanted to test it, but they had not used it yet. "Who would we call?" Veltar asked. "The Kronok are too strong. Even our home fleet could not get here in time." "We could send the message to everyone," Dolvin said. "Maybe someone will help us." Veltar thought about this. Most species in the galaxy were afraid of the Kronok. Others simply did not care about strangers. But maybe, just maybe, someone would answer. "Do it," Veltar said. "Send the message on all frequencies." Dolvin worked quickly at his station. "What should the message say, Commander?" Veltar closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his crew, about the young ones playing in the common room, about his mate Salandra, who was teaching them about different worlds. "This is Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Collective," he said slowly. "Our ship is under attack by Kronok forces. We are peaceful researchers with no military capability. If any civilization receives this transmission, please send help. We have children aboard." Dolvin typed the message and looked at his commander. "Ready to send, sir?" "Send it," Veltar ordered. "Send it to every corner of the galaxy." The message flew out from their ship at the speed of light, then faster as it entered subspace. It reached the nearest star systems in minutes, then spread further and further across the galaxy. On dozens of worlds, aliens received the message. Most deleted it right away. The Kronok were too dangerous to fight. Others felt sorry for the Zephyrians, but knew they could not help in time. But in a small yellow star system called Sol, something different happened. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison was drinking coffee in the deep space monitoring station above Earth. It was late in his shift, and he was tired. He had been listening to space radio signals for 12 hours. Most were just ships talking to each other or planets sending news. Then his computer made a special sound. It had picked up a distress signal. Jake sat up straight and put on his headphones. The message was in an alien language, but his computer was already translating it. As he listened to the words, Jake's face became hard and angry. Jake had fought in 3 wars. He had seen what happened when bad people hurt innocent families. He knew the sound of real fear in someone's voice, even if that someone was an alien. He grabbed his phone and called his boss. "Colonel Martinez, we have a priority distress signal. Alien civilians under attack by hostiles. They have kids on board." "Are you sure it's real?" Colonel Martinez asked. "Yes, sir." "And Colonel, they said the attackers are something called Chronok." There was silence on the phone. Jake knew the colonel was checking the alien database. After a minute, Colonel Martinez spoke again, and his voice was cold. "Jake, send that recording to Terra Command right now. Mark it urgent. Then call Admiral Keynes' office and tell them it's coming." Jake worked fast. He knew that look in the colonel's voice. Someone was about to have a very bad day. At Terra Command, Admiral Lisa Kane was working late in her office. She was a small woman with gray hair, but everyone in the human fleet knew she was tougher than steel. She had fought pirates and saved colonies across human space. When her aide brought her the alien message, Kane listened to it 3 times. Then she stood up and walked to her window. Outside, she could see Earth's beautiful blue oceans and white clouds. She thought about her own daughter, who was now grown up and living on Mars. Kane turned to her aide. "Get me fleet command. Tell them to prep the 3rd Fleet for immediate departure. And call Captain Blake on a retribution. Tell him his shore leave just got canceled." The aide looked worried. "Admiral, we don't know anything about these aliens. What if it's a trap?" Kane looked at him with hard eyes. "Son, I just heard a father begging for help to save his children. I don't care what species he is. We're going to help him." As the message continued to spread through human command, ships across the Sol system began to move. Captain Ryan Blake got the call while he was having dinner with his family on Earth. He kissed his wife goodbye and headed for his ship. Major Amy Rodriguez was training Marines on Luna when her orders came through. She gathered troops and told them they were going to rescue alien civilians from space pirates. Within 6 hours of receiving the distress signal, the human 3rd Fleet was ready to launch. They had no idea what they were flying into, but they knew innocent people needed help, and that was enough. Captain Ryan Blake stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Retribution. The big warship was moving through space toward the jump point where they would enter hyperspace. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, preparing for battle. Blake was a tall man with scars on his face from old fights. He had been in the human navy for 20 years. He had fought pirates, raiders, and worse things in the dark spaces between stars. But this mission felt different. This time, they were going to help people they had never met. "Captain," said his first officer, Commander Sarah Bell, "the fleet is ready to jump. Admiral Kane wants to speak with all ship commanders." Blake nodded and walked to his command chair. The main screen showed Admiral Kane's face. Behind her, Blake could see the bridge of her flagship, the UES Thunderstrike. The Admiral looked serious, as she always did before a fight. "Captains," Kane began, "we are about to enter unknown space to fight an enemy we know little about. But we do know they are threatening innocent civilians. That makes this simple." Blake smiled slightly. Admiral Kane always made things simple. Good guys, bad guys, and the job of making sure the good guys stayed alive. "What do we know about these Kronak?" asked Captain Davis from the destroyer Fury. Kane looked at her notes. "Intelligence says they are a warrior race. They have been attacking peaceful worlds for hundreds of years. They like to take slaves and steal resources. They think might makes right." "Sounds familiar," Blake said quietly. His crew had fought similar enemies before. "The aliens we are going to help are called Zephyrians," Kane continued. "They are peaceful. They have no weapons, no military, no experience with war. They are scientists and explorers. Think of them as space professors with their families." Blake felt anger rise in his chest. He had 2 daughters back on Earth. The thought of someone threatening children made his blood hot. "Sir," said Commander Bell, "what about the Kronak ships? Do we know their capabilities?" Kane switched the screen to show pictures of dark red. Ships covered in spikes and weapons. They have 12 ships at the target location. Heavy cruisers built for intimidation. Lots of energy weapons, but their tactics are simple. They surround their prey and demand surrender. "They have never fought humans before," Blake said. It was not a question. "No, Captain. We will be their first encounter with a species from a Class 12 death world." Blake heard several crew members laugh quietly. The galaxy had given Earth that rating after first contact with human explorers. Other species were amazed that anything could survive on a world with such extreme weather, dangerous animals, and violent natural disasters. Most aliens came from gentle worlds where the biggest predator was about the size of a house cat. Earth had sharks, tigers, bears, and venomous snakes. It had volcanoes, earthquakes, tornadoes, and hurricanes. Humans had evolved to survive all of it. "Major Rodriguez," Kane said, addressing the Marine commander, "your people ready for boarding actions?" Major Amy Rodriguez appeared on screen from the assault carrier, Thunder Bay. She was a small woman with fierce eyes and muscles that came from years of combat training. "Yes, Admiral. My Marines are ready to teach these Kronak about human hospitality." Blake knew Rodriguez well. She had grown up in the South American Federation, where she learned to fight in jungle wars against drug cartels. Her Marines were the best in the fleet. They trained in zero gravity, underwater, in desert heat, and Arctic cold. They could fight anywhere, anytime. "Dr. Wright," Kane said, "what else can you tell us about the Zephyrians?" Dr. Helen Wright appeared on screen from her laboratory ship. She was the fleet's expert on alien species. "They are herbivores, Admiral, plant eaters. They have never developed weapons because they never needed them. Their homeworld has no large predators. They solve problems by talking and working together." "Sounds nice," said Captain Moore from the destroyer Vengeance. "Too bad they ran into the Kronak." Blake thought about the difference between the Zephyrians and humans. Humans had been fighting each other and their environment for thousands of years. They had developed every kind of weapon possible. Swords, guns, bombs, and now energy weapons that could destroy entire cities. But humans had also developed something else. They had learned to protect the weak. Human history was full of stories about people who fought to save others. Soldiers who died protecting civilians. Parents who sacrificed everything for their children. Chief Sullivan, Blake called to his engineering officer. "Are our weapons ready?" Chief Pete Sullivan was an old man who had been fixing ships since before Blake was born. "All systems green, Captain. Railguns loaded with tungsten penetrators. Plasma lance arrays charged. Missile tubes loaded with our best ship killers." Blake nodded. Human weapons were designed by a species that had been trying to kill itself for thousands of years. They were very good at it. "Captain," said Lieutenant Sam Parker from the tactical station, "the Kronak energy weapons are powerful, but they are meant to disable ships, not destroy them. They want to take prisoners and steal ships. That will be their mistake. Blake said. They are expecting victims, not predators. Admiral Kane's voice came over the speakers again. All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. Jump in 30 seconds. Blake sat in his command chair and buckled his safety harness. Around him, his crew did the same. The Retribution had been built for war. Every system was designed to keep the ship fighting, even when badly damaged. Jump in 10 seconds, announced the navigation officer. Blake looked at the faces of his crew. They were all volunteers who had joined the Navy to protect human space. But today, they were going to protect aliens they had never met. He felt proud of them. Jump now, the navigator called. The stars outside disappeared as the ship entered. Hyperspace. They were now traveling faster than light, racing toward a battle that would change the galaxy forever. In the marine section of the ship, Major Rodriguez was briefing her troops. Listen up, Marines. We are going to rescue civilians from pirates. The fact that they are aliens does not matter. Children are children, no matter what species. Sergeant Tony Martinez raised his hand. Major, what if the Kronik tried to use the aliens as shields? Rodriguez smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Then we show them why humans are classified as apex predators. We go in fast, we go in hard, and we bring everyone home. The Marines cheered. They had trained for this kind of mission their whole careers. Hostage rescue was what they did best. In his laboratory, Dr. Wright was studying the Zephyrian distress signal. She had broken down their language and was learning about their culture. They were peaceful, curious, and had never hurt anyone. They were exactly the kind of people humans felt protective toward. Back on the bridge, Blake looked at the time display. They would reach the Kepler 438 system in 6 hours. The Kronik had no idea what was coming for them. Commander Bell, Blake said, send a message to the crew. Tell them we are going to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens innocent people in human space. Bell smiled and sent the message. All over the ship, humans prepared for battle. They checked their weapons, reviewed their orders, and thought about the families they were going to save. The Retribution flew through hyperspace, carrying death toward those who would harm the innocent. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 438 system. Captain Blake felt his stomach settle as the ship returned to normal space. Around him, his crew immediately went to work. Sensors online, reported Lieutenant Parker. I have multiple contacts. 12 large ships surrounding one smaller vessel. Blake looked at the main screen. In the distance, he could see the Kronik ships arranged in a circle around a much smaller ship. The alien research vessel looked tiny, compared to the dark red warships that surrounded it. That must be the Harmony's Edge, Blake said. The Zephyrian ship. The Kronik ships are not moving, Parker reported. They appear to be holding position around the research vessel. Blake nodded. The Kronik were probably draining the Zephyrian ship's power system slowly. They wanted to capture the crew alive for the slave markets. Communications, Blake called to his radio officer. Can you reach the Zephyrian ship? Lieutenant Kelly worked at her station for several minutes. I am getting something, Captain. Very weak signal. They are trying to communicate. Put it through, Blake ordered. The speakers filled with strange clicking and whistling sounds. Then, Dr. Wright's translation program kicked in, and they heard a voice speaking broken English. Unknown ships, this is Commander Veltar of the Harmony's Edge. Are you here to help us? Blake picked up his microphone. Commander Veltar, this is Captain Ryan Blake of the Human Navy. We received your distress call. We are here to get you out. There was silence for a moment. Then Veltar's voice came back, filled with relief and disbelief. Humans? You came all this way to help us? Yes, sir. How many people do you have on your ship? 43 adults and 16 younglings. We are all civilians. Scientists and their families. Blake felt his anger grow hot. 59 innocent people, including children, trapped by space pirates. Commander, we are going to get you out of there. Stay calm and keep your people safe. Captain, Lieutenant Parker said quietly, the Kronak ships are starting to move. I think they detected us. Blake looked at his tactical display. The 12 Kronak ships were breaking their circle formation and turning toward the human fleet. They were big ships, each one twice the size of the Retribution. All ships, this is Blake, he said into his fleet radio. Enemy is moving to engage. Execute attack plan Alpha. Admiral Kane's voice came over the radio from her flagship. Roger that, Blake. All ships, weapons free. Show them what humans do to child killers. The human fleet split into 3 groups. Captain Blake took the Retribution straight toward the center of the Kronak formation. Captain Davis in the Fury went left, while Captain Moore in the Vengeance went right. The assault carrier Thunder Bay stayed back, ready to launch boarding parties. The Kronak ships were moving slowly, like they expected an easy fight. Their formation was loose and casual. Blake could see they had never fought against experienced military forces before. Parker, target the lead Kronak ship, Blake ordered. Load armor-piercing rounds in the railguns. Targeting complete, Captain. Ready to fire. Blake watched the range counter drop. The Kronak ships were getting closer. But they were not firing yet. They probably wanted to capture the human ships too. All weapons fire, Blake commanded. The Retribution shook as its main railguns fired. Tungsten projectiles shot out at incredible speed, crossing the distance to the Kronak ship in seconds. At the same time, plasma lances fired beams of superheated energy. The Kronak ship's shields flared bright blue as the human weapons hit. Then the shields collapsed, and the railgun rounds punched through the ship's armor like it was paper. The plasma beams cut deep wounds in the hull. The Kronak ship started spinning out of control, atmosphere leaking from dozens of holes. Emergency. Lights flashed across its surface. Direct hit, Parker reported. Target is disabled. Around the battle area, the other human ships were firing too. The Fury and Vengeance were attacking from the sides, their weapons tearing into surprised Kronak vessels. The enemy ships were trying to return fire, but their movements were slow and clumsy. Captain, said Commander Bell, the enemy weapons are energy-based, designed to disable rather than destroy. They are not used to fighting real warships. Blake smiled grimly. The Kronak had been attacking defenseless ships for so long, they had forgotten how to fight real battles. Human ships were built to survive combat with other human ships. That made them much tougher than anything the Kronak had faced before. Second target, dead ahead, Parker called out. Blake looked at the screen. Another Kronak ship was firing energy. Beams at the Retribution. The beams hit their shields, but did not do much damage. Human shield technology was designed to stop much more powerful weapons. Return fire. All weapons, Blake ordered. The Retribution fired again. This time, the railgun rounds hit the Kronak ship's engine section. There was a bright flash as the enemy ship's power core exploded. The ship broke in half and went dark. Enemy ship destroyed, Parker reported. On the other side of the battle, Captain Davis was having similar success. The Fury had disabled 2 Kronak ships and was engaging a third. Captain Moore's Vengeance had destroyed 1 enemy ship and was chasing another that was trying to run away. Captain Blake, came Admiral Kane's voice over the radio. The Thunder Bay is launching boarding parties. Major Rodriguez wants to capture some Kronak alive for questioning. Blake looked at his tactical display. Of the 12 Kronak ships, 3 were destroyed, 4 were disabled, and the rest were trying to scatter. But the human ships were faster, and their weapons had longer range. Commander Voltar, Blake called on the radio. Are you still there? Yes, Captain Blake. We are safe. Your ships are amazing. We have never seen such fighting. Stay put, Commander. We will have you free in a few minutes." Blake watched as the Thunder Bay launched its assault pods. The small ships shot across space toward the largest remaining Kronak vessel. Major Rodriguez and her Marines were going to board the enemy ship and capture the Kronak commander. "Captain," Lieutenant Parker said, "3 Kronak ships are trying to run. Should we pursue?" Blake thought about it. The immediate threat to the Zephyrians was over, but these Kronak would just go find other victims if they escaped. "Pursue and destroy," Blake ordered. "Do not let any of them get away." The next few minutes were like a hunting exercise. The human ships chased down the fleeing Kronak vessels one by one. The enemy ships were fast, but human ships were faster. Their weapons were powerful, but human weapons were more powerful. When the last Kronak ship exploded in a ball of fire, the battle was over. 12 enemy ships had attacked the peaceful Zephyrian research vessel. Now 11 were destroyed or captured, and 1 was being boarded by human Marines. "All ships, report status," Admiral Kane called over the radio. "Retribution reporting." "No damage, all systems green," Blake answered. "Fury reporting." "Minor shield damage, ready for more action," Captain Davis said. "Vengeance reporting." "All weapons ready, no casualties," Captain Moore added. "Thunder Bay reporting. Boarding action successful. Major Rodriguez has captured the Kronak commander." Blake felt satisfaction warm his chest. The mission had been a complete success. Not a single human had been hurt, and all the Zephyrians were safe. "Commander Veltar," Blake called on the radio. "This is Captain Blake. The threat is over. We are sending a medical team to check on your people." "Captain Blake," Veltar's voice was full of wonder. "In less than 1 hour, you destroyed an entire Kronak fleet. How is this possible?" Blake thought about how to answer. How could he explain that humans came from a world where everything tried to kill them? How could he tell a peaceful alien that humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years? "Commander, we will explain everything when we meet in person. For now, just know that you and your people are safe. No one will hurt your younglings while humans are around." As the human fleet moved closer to the Zephyrian ship, Blake realized this was just the beginning. Word of this battle would spread across the galaxy. Other peaceful species would learn that there was someone willing to fight for them, and predators like the Kronak would learn that the galaxy had new hunters. Major Amy Rodriguez felt the assault pod shake as it attached to the side of the Kronak flagship. The magnetic clamps locked into place with a loud clunk. Around her, 12 of her best Marines checked their weapons one final time. "Cutting charges." "Ready, Major," said Sergeant Tony Martinez. He was a big man from Texas who had joined the Marines to fight bullies. Today, he was about to fight the biggest bullies in the galaxy. "Remember, we want prisoners," Rodriguez said into her helmet. "Radio, but if they threaten civilians, put them down hard." The cutting charges exploded, blowing a hole through the Kronik ship's hull. Rodriguez was the first one through, her rifle ready. The inside of the alien ship was dark and filled with red emergency lights. The hallways were much bigger than human. Ships. The Kronak were large creatures, so they needed more space. Rodriguez could hear heavy footsteps running toward them from deeper in the ship. "Contact front," called Corporal Lisa Chun from behind Rodriguez. Her scanner was picking up movement. Ahead, the first Kronak warrior came around the corner at a dead run. Rodriguez got her first look at humanity's enemy. The alien was 8 feet tall and covered in thick scales. It had 4 arms and a head like a crocodile. In 2 of its hands, it carried energy weapons. The Kronak fired its weapons at the Marines. Blue energy beams hit the walls around them, leaving smoking holes. But the Marines were already moving, using their training to stay behind cover. Rodriguez aimed her plasma rifle and fired. The superheated bolt hit the Kronak in the chest. The alien's thick armor cracked, and it fell backward with a roar of pain. Target down, Rodriguez reported, moving forward. More Kronak warriors appeared from side passages. They were big and strong, but they moved slowly. They were used to fighting scared civilians, not trained soldiers. The Marines cut them down with precise fire. Sergeant Martinez kicked down a heavy door that was blocking their path. Inside, they found a group of Kronak technicians working at computer stations. The aliens looked up in fear when the humans entered. "Secure the prisoners," Rodriguez ordered. "Chun, get on those computers. Let's see what these pirates have been up to." Chun plugged her scanner into the alien computer system. Her equipment quickly broke through their security codes. Information flowed across her helmet display. "Major, you need to see this," Chun said quietly. "These Kronak have hit 17 different worlds in the past year. They have taken over 3,000 slaves." Rodriguez felt anger burn in her chest. 3,000 innocent people stolen from their homes and families. She thought about her own daughter back on Earth and what she would do if someone tried to take her. "Any idea where the slaves are now?" Rodriguez asked. "Some kind of processing station in the Vega system." "Major, some of these slaves are children. Hundreds of them." Rodriguez made a decision that would change the galaxy. "Chun, copy all of this data. Everything. Ship locations, slave markets, command structure. We are going to shut down their entire operation." The Marines continued through the ship, meeting less resistance as they went. Most of the Kronak crew had never faced real soldiers before. They did not know how to fight enemies who shot back effectively. Finally, they reached the bridge of the ship. Rodriguez could hear voices speaking in the Kronak language on the other side of the heavy door. She placed shaped charges around the doorframe. "Breaching in 3, 2, 1, she said. The door exploded inward. Rodriguez and her Marines rushed onto the bridge through the smoke. Several Kronak officers were there, including one who was much larger than the others. This one wore armor covered in battle scars and metal decorations. That must be their commander. Sergeant Martinez said the Kronak commander was holding an energy weapon, but he did not fire. He was staring at the humans with what looked like fear in his yellow eyes. Rodriguez removed her helmet, showing her human face. She wanted the alien to see exactly who had defeated him. The Kronak commander's eyes went wide. He dropped his weapon and took a step backward. "You are human," he said in broken English. "Deathworlders." Rodriguez was surprised the alien could speak her language. "That's right. I am Major Amy Rodriguez of the Human Marines. You are now my prisoner." The Kronak commander, who Rodriguez learned was named War Leader Krathmer, sat down heavily in his chair. He looked like he had seen a ghost. "I have heard stories," Krathmer said. "Stories about humans. They said you would come for us someday." "What stories?" Rodriguez asked. She was curious about what other aliens thought of humans. "Stories from the Outer Rim. Pirates who tried to raid human colonies. None of them came back. The few who escaped said humans fight like demons. They said you never give up, never surrender, and never forgive those who hurt innocents." Rodriguez smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "The stories are true, and you just made a very big mistake." "What mistake?" Krathmer asked. "You threaten children. Zephyrian children. That makes this personal for every human in the galaxy." Krathmer's scales seemed to lose their color. "I offer you tribute. Gold, rare metals, anything you want. Just let us leave." "There is no negotiation," Rodriguez said firmly. "You are slavers. You steal children from their families. That ends now." Around the bridge, her Marines were securing the other Kronak officers. They moved efficiently, like they had done this 100 times before. Each alien was searched, disarmed, and restrained. Corporal Chun was working at the ship's main computer. Major, I am downloading their entire database. Ship movements, slave markets, everything. Admiral Kane is going to want to see this. Rodriguez walked over to War Leader Krathmer. The big alien was sitting quietly, staring at his hands. How many species have you enslaved? She asked. Many, Krathmer said quietly. The Zephyrians would have been the 18th this year. And how many children have you taken from their parents? Krathmer did not answer. Rodriguez could see shame in his alien features. I asked you a question, Rodriguez said, her voice getting harder. Too many to count, Krathmer finally said. It is what we do, what we have always done. Not anymore, Rodriguez said. Your slaving days are over. She opened her radio channel to Captain Blake. Captain, this is Rodriguez. The flagship is secure. I have the Kronak commander in custody. Excellent work, Major. What did you find? Intelligence gold mine, sir. These pirates have been busy. They have locations of slave markets, ship schedules, and command structures. We can roll up their entire network. Outstanding. Bring the prisoners back to the Thunder Bay. Admiral Kane will want to question them personally. Rodriguez looked around the bridge one more time. The Kronak had built this ship to terrorize peaceful worlds. Its walls were covered with trophies taken from their victims. Weapons, artwork, and personal items stolen from families they had destroyed. But now human marines controlled the bridge. The age of Kronak terror was ending. Sergeant Martinez, get these prisoners to the shuttle, Rodriguez ordered. Chun, finish. Downloading their files. I want everything. As they prepared to leave, War Leader Krathmer spoke one more time. Human, what will happen to us? Rodriguez looked at him. That depends on you. If you help us free the slaves you have taken, you might live. If you do not cooperate, well, she let the sentence hang in the air. Krathmer nodded slowly. He understood. The humans were giving him one chance to do the right thing. As the Marines escorted their prisoners back to the assault pods, Rodriguez thought about what they had accomplished. In one day, they had rescued the Zephyrians and captured intelligence that could save thousands of slaves. But more importantly, they had sent a message to every slaver and pirate in the galaxy. Humans were watching. Humans were coming. And humans did not forgive those who hurt the innocent. The galaxy was about to become a much more dangerous place for predators. Dr. Helen Wright floated through the airlock, connecting the human ship to the Zephyrian vessel. She carried a medical kit and translation equipment. This was her first time meeting a living alien, and she was excited despite the serious situation. The inside of the Harmony's Edge was very different from human ships. Everything was curved and smooth, with soft blue lights instead of the harsh white lights humans used. The air smelled like flowers and growing plants. Commander Veltar was waiting for her in the main corridor. Dr. Wright got her first close. Look at a Zephyrian. He was tall and thin, with blue-green skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. His large black eyes showed intelligence and kindness. Dr. Wright, Veltar said through his translator device, thank you for coming to help. U.S. We have several injured crew members. Of course, Commander. That's what we do, Wright replied. She followed him through the ship, amazed by how peaceful everything looked. There were no weapons, no military equipment, just scientific instruments, and living quarters designed for families. In the medical bay, Wright met Salandra, the Zephyrian medic. Salandra was treating a crew member who had been hurt when the Kronak ships first attacked. The alien doctor was using techniques Wright had never seen before, but they seemed to work well. Your medicine is very advanced, Wright said, watching. Salandra work. We have had many centuries to perfect healing. Silandra replied. We have not spent time learning to hurt others, so we became very good at helping them. Wright felt a mixture of admiration and sadness. The Zephyrians had built a perfect peaceful society, but that left them helpless against predators like the Kronik. While the doctors worked together, Commander Veltar was speaking with Admiral Kane over the communication system. Kane's face appeared on the main screen of the Zephyrian ship. Commander Veltar, I am Admiral Lisa Kane of the Human Fleet. Are all of your people safe? Yes, Admiral, thanks to your brave crews. But I must ask, why did you come so far to help strangers? Most species would not risk themselves for people they do not know. Kane smiled slightly. Commander, humans have a saying, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. We heard that children were in danger. That was enough. Veltar was quiet for a moment. Wright could see he was thinking hard about Kane's words. Admiral, Veltar finally said, my people have been looking for allies to help protect our research missions. We explore the galaxy to learn, but we keep running into species like the Kronik. Would humans be willing to work with us? Kane's expression became serious. What kind of partnership did you have in mind? We could share our scientific discoveries with you. Our sensor technology is very advanced. We can detect things your ships cannot see. In return, perhaps some of your ships could escort our research. Missions? On the bridge of his ship, Captain Blake was listening to the conversation. He knew Admiral Kane was thinking about the bigger picture. The Kronik had 17 other victims out there. Thousands of slaves needed to be freed. Having alien allies with advanced sensors could help find them. Commander, Kane said, I think we can work something out. But first, we need to deal with the Kronik slave network. Major Rodriguez found information that could help us save thousands of people. Veltar's large eyes went wide. Thousands? The Kronik have taken thousands of slaves? Yes, including many children. We cannot let that continue. Wright watched as Veltar talked quietly with other Zephyrians in their own language. After a few minutes, he turned back to Admiral Kane. Admiral, the Zephyrian High Council wants to help. We cannot fight, but our ships can find things yours cannot. We will help you locate the slave camps. Over the next several hours, the two species worked together to plan their next moves. The Zephyrians shared their advanced scanning technology with human engineers. The humans shared their tactical knowledge with Zephyrian scientists. Captain Blake met Commander Veltar in person when both men toured each other's ships. Veltar was amazed by the human warship's weapons and armor. Blake was impressed by the Zephyrian ship's scientific equipment. Your people are remarkable, Veltar told Blake as they stood on the Retribution's bridge. You crossed the galaxy to save people you had never met. Why do humans do this? Blake thought about the question. Commander, humans come from a dangerous world. We learned that the only way to survive was to work together and protect each other. When we went to space, we took that idea with us. But we are not human. We are aliens to you. Innocence has no species, Blake said simply. Children are children, no matter what they look like. Meanwhile, in the interrogation room of the Thunder Bay, Admiral Kane was questioning war leader Krafmer. The Kronik commander looked much smaller now that he was in chains. The slave processing station is in the Vega system, Krafner said. It is heavily defended. 12 battleships and orbital defense platforms. Kane made notes on her tablet. How many prisoners are being held there? Over 2,000 from the recent raids. Many different species. Kane felt cold anger in her chest. 2,000 people stolen from their families and waiting to be sold like animals. How many children? She asked. Krafmer looked uncomfortable. Perhaps 300. Young ones are worth more in the slave markets. Kane stood up abruptly. Guard, Take this piece of garbage back to his cell." As Krathner was led away, Kane activated her communication system. "All ship commanders, report to the Thunder Bay immediately. We have a new mission." 2 hours later, the human fleet was joined by 3 Zephyrian science vessels. The alien ships were not armed, but their sensors could detect things across entire star systems. "Admiral," reported Commander Veltar from his ship, "our scans show the Vega system has been cleared of all civilian traffic. Only military vessels remain." "Perfect," Kane replied. "That means everyone there is either a slaver or a slave. No innocent bystanders to worry about." Captain Blake checked his weapon systems one more time. "Admiral, the fleet is ready for hyperspace jump." Kane looked at the tactical display showing both human and Zephyrian ships working together. This was the beginning of something new in the galaxy. For the first time, a peaceful species had allied with warriors who fought for justice. "All ships, this is Admiral Kane. We are going to free every slave in that system. We are going to destroy every slaver ship we find. And we are going to send a message to every predator in the galaxy that the age of hunting innocents is over." The combined fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying justice toward the Vega system. Behind them, word of the rescue was already spreading through subspace communications. Other peaceful species were learning that help was available. Predatory species were learning that humans were coming for them. In the depths of space, Captain Blake recorded his final log entry for the mission. "Today, humanity took its first step toward becoming the galaxy's protector. We saved one ship and made one ally. But more importantly, we proved that good people do not have to stand alone against evil. The Zephyrians gave us the gift of hope. We gave them the gift of protection. Together, we are going to change the galaxy." As the fleet traveled through hyperspace toward their next battle, humans and Zephyrians worked side by side, planning the liberation of thousands of slaves. Galaxy would never be the same. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they brought justice with them.